Let me tell you a really interesting story about Super Mario Sunshine. So, this game was created by a lot of younger and newer Nintendo developers who wanted to shake up the Mario series a little. One way they did that was setting the game outside of the Mushroom Kingdom, where most Mario games had been located. Instead, Mario Sunshine was set on Delfino Island, a tropical location. And just listen to this quote from Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario. In the beginning, Delfino Plaza just had normal human tourists milling about. However, although this wasn't the Mushroom Kingdom, it still felt weird to have Mario talking to normal-looking people. And so, in the end, these realistic humans were replaced with these guys here, called the Piantas. It seemed as though realistic humans and Mario were never meant to meet. Except, fast forward 15 years, and we get this. Some very realistic humans standing right alongside Mario himself. And Miyamoto is right, it does feel weird to have Mario talk to these normal-looking humans. So, why did Nintendo do it? Why did they change their mind 15 years later? Well, let's answer the question of, why did Nintendo put real humans into the Mario series? So, this guy here is Yoshiaki Koizumi, the producer of Super Mario Odyssey. At the start of the game's development, Koizumi decided something. The Mario series needed a shake-up. The previous Mario games had been a little too Mario-y, he thought. And so, Koizumi said this to Odyssey's developers. This time round, you need to surprise the player. You need to show them things that they wouldn't expect to see in a Mario game. And so, the word surprise became the focus of Odyssey's early development. And the game's director, Kenta Motakura, really took that to heart. When the team began brainstorming ideas for some kind of desert level, he suggested that rather than theming the level after Egypt, like in past Mario games, this time round they should base it on somewhere else, that being Mexico. He was actually inspired by a trip he had taken to Mexico. Or when Odyssey's developers wanted to create a lava-themed world. Rather than putting together some kind of typical lava-based Mario location, like this or this or this, they instead came up with a cooking-based kingdom, where the giant volcano is actually a massive cookpot. Neat. Which brings us to a little place called New Donk City. Here's a quote from director Kenta Motakura. If there's a gameplay idea that involves Mario walking on a slippery surface, we'll say, okay, this idea fits into a snowy kingdom or an icy kingdom. Or if we have a level that makes use of Mario's jumping, what if we make use of a realistic city like New York? And that simple suggestion of what if Mario traveled to a realistic New York-style city soon ballooned into what would become Mario Odyssey's most iconic kingdom. So, let's take a look at how New Donk City began taking shape. If you take a look at early concept art that the team drew up, you can get a good idea of the direction they had in mind for this city location. It looks lively, colourful, and full of people. Right from the start, Odyssey's developers wanted Mario to meet with and interact with the residents of this city. But those residents themselves, called New Donkers, looked pretty different back then. They were the exact same height as Mario. In fact, they almost looked like they could be regular Mario characters living in the Mushroom Kingdom. But as the concept art progressed, these New Donkers began changing and growing. The game's director, Kenta Motakura, thought that if these characters were much taller than Mario, a kind of realistic human height instead of Mario's cartoon proportions, they would be a lot more surprising to the player and would better live up to the target of showing players something they wouldn't expect to see in a Mario game. But while Kenta Motakura really liked these new, tall New Donkers, a lot of other developers on the game did not. During the game's development, he explained, there were some arguments about whether it was okay for Mario, who's 2.5 heads tall, and the residents of New Donk City, who are 8 heads tall, to exist alongside each other. Like, is this really Mario? And it wasn't just Odyssey's developers. Shigeru Miyamoto himself, the creator of Mario, wasn't so sure about these human-like characters. He said, I was worried about how players would react to being in a world where Mario is this tall and normal people are a little bit taller. In other words, it was the exact same problem as 15 years before. During the development of Super Mario Sunshine, Miyamoto felt it would be weird for Mario to talk to real-life humans. And in Odyssey, he still wasn't sure it was a good idea to include real human beings. So how was the problem resolved? Well, Motokura said this to the development staff. It's because he's in a foreign country. Even in real life, if you go to different countries, you meet different races and different cultures. You see, Mario Odyssey is a game all about traveling to different places. Each place Mario travels to has its own unique culture and beings who live there. And in New Donk City, those beings are realistic humans. And so, after Motokura's reassurances, the rest of the development team were convinced. Maybe it was weird for Mario, who's this tall, to stand next to this person here who is a lot taller. But that weirdness is the whole point of it. Motokura said this in an interview. A city with people of regular height feels out of place in Mario's world. But because it's just like New York, it's somewhere that we, the players, can relate to. Everyone knows what Mario is normally like, but this is a little different from that. I'm hoping that that difference will lead to fun and interest. And it sure did. Nintendo chose to spotlight New Donk City in Mario Odyssey's very first reveal trailer. And universally, viewers were stunned, surprised, and intrigued by the sight of Mario running and jumping around a city populated by regular old human beings. And heck, this game sold pretty darn well, and I think the human-like New Donkers probably contributed at least a little bit towards that. So now just one more question remains. If these guys are humans, then what about Mario? Is he a completely different species? Well, in an interview, director Kenta Motokura was asked that very question. He answered, Mario is human. The interviewer followed up with, really? Why is he so different? To which Motokura replied, in the world, there are many different types of people, you know? And that concluded the debate. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me recommend one of my older videos. This week it's Why is Link So Hot, which I made a couple of years ago. The title really makes me laugh, but the story from the video is actually pretty interesting, so you should check it out.